Hi there everyone, this is Brittany from By Brittany Goldwyn. I post videos about plants and projects, and today I am coming to you from my sunroom in Maryland Zone 7A, where I am wearing a sun hat and a tank top and shorts because it's 85 degrees outside on November 1st. Not sure how I feel about that, but I do feel pretty great about today's video, which is all about propagating lavender from cuttings. So I've done a couple videos about perennial plant propagation so far. I've done rosemary and sage, and the goal of these is to help you figure out how to propagate your plants, either to pass on to friends and family or to fill your own garden with lovely things that are highly drought tolerant, useful, smell great, and they look good for the majority of the year, really. So I've gone ahead and taken a couple of lavender cuttings here from my English lavender plant, and I'll show you where on the plant I took these from to get started. So here is one of the more mature lavender plants in our yard. We actually just put this one in the spring when we put this pond in, but I moved it from elsewhere in the yard, so it's doing pretty good size-wise. These are its first flowers. To take a cutting from this plant to propagate, you really just want to take like any of these stems. Make sure you avoid woody-looking stems. I don't know if you can see down here, but once you get closer to the base of the plant starts developing a woody look on its stems, and that's just to support the plant. You want to take a growth tip from one of these more tender areas. Here, I'll pop this off and show you, where the bottom of the stem is less woody and a lot more pliable. This will definitely increase the chances of success for your propagation. So let's take this cutting to work with first. The first thing I'm going to do is just gently strip away all of the bottom growth on the cutting. I'm going to strip this away, and then I'm actually going to take my shears and cut this down a little bit more because that's a little bit long, and end up with something about like this. You can propagate longer pieces of lavender, but I think you'll find that it is harder for the plants to root. The more plant that it has to keep alive while it's rooting, the harder rooting will be for it, and you really want to be focusing your cuttings efforts on developing those roots, not on pushing out new growth or keeping the existing growth alive. Okay, I have 4 cuttings that I'm going to plant together in a pot. I have already added some soil and wetted the soil down so it's nice and moist here in this little pot. And then I also grabbed some rooting powder. Now, I have mixed feelings on rooting powder. I don't always use it for propagations. I would say I don't even frequently use it for propagations, but I have it and I like to play around with it sometime. And it is a little bit late in the season for starting some plant propagations. So I'm hoping that by adding some rooting hormone to these cuttings that I can kind of speed up the rooting process a little bit before I pop these bad boys in the ground or pass them on to someone else. And now that I've got my 4 coated cuttings, all I'm going to do is gently stick them down into the already moist soil mix that I put together. So I'm just gonna stick all 4 of these down in the same pot because that keeps things easy and organized. And not all of them will probably be successful. I'm really hoping that 1 or 2 of these will be successful, so I figure 4 is a good number to start with here. So then you just want to keep the soil moist and check the roots for development in a couple of weeks. You can gently pull on the cutting to see if it's established roots, or I usually just dump the pot out to inspect the roots and then pot them back up if they're not ready to go. When I check the roots, if I see that one of these cuttings is developing some really great roots, I will usually pot that one up separately because by that point I know it's probably going to be a successful propagation and I want it to have its own room to kind of grow a little bit more in the pot. So I'm actually going to show you guys an example of that with this rosemary cutting that I've been working on. So when you dump the soil out here, you can see it's got this really nice root system that it's grown. I would call this one pretty good to go, unless I forget to water it and don't keep the soil super moist. This propagation is probably going to be a success. So that is kind of my marker on when to pot it up, and I may even put that one in the ground soon, just because it is already November here. So I hope this was a helpful video in showing you how you can take lavender cuttings and propagate them for your friends, your family, your yard, whatever you want to do. That's the power of plant propagation. And until next time, happy planting.